Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great week, and hope you're having a blessed week, and hope everyone in your family is healthy and has everything they need. I pray that every night for all my friends and family to have everything they need and to be healthy. Anyway, today I'm going to tell another story. I was 6 years old, and one of our neighbors, not too far down the road, I lived out in the country, so we didn't have neighbors where you look out your window and see another house. Neighbors was down the road a ways. But named James Tefteller, and some of you watching probably knows James, and he passed away several years ago. But he was a good friend of the family, and I was 6 years old, and he called my mom and dad and said he's fishing a tournament out of Hickory Creek on Beaver Lake, and didn't have a partner, and wanted to know if I wanted to go fish a tournament with him. And I think it was it was an evening tournament. It was in the summertime. It was an evening tournament. I want to say it was a 7 to midnight, something like that. 7 to 11. Might have been 7 to 11. It might have been that. No, it should have been a Friday nighter. So it's probably 7 to midnight or 7 to 2. Might have been 7 to 2. Anyways, Friday night tournament. And we took off from Hickory Creek and we passed Nelson's Holler and started making the corner around to the right past the little water intake deal, and we got up there and made that right, and like we was going to go straight there toward Montanay, or the cut there at Horseshoe Bend. Between Horseshoe Bend and Montanay, there's a cut there. But anyway, we shut down in that first little cove there on the right, across from Eden's Bluff. So y'all, anybody that knows Beaver and will know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's a little cove cut right there, and we started on I guess it'd be the east side of that, I guess what you'd call it. Anyway, left-hand side. We started on the left-hand side and started making our way around. And I can't remember what brand of buzzbait this was. We got them at the tackle shop there in Lowell. But there was a chartreuse buzzbait, and the buzzbait blade had a chartreuse sticker on it, and it was kind of a reflective kind of sticker. And I tied that on, and I was throwing that buzzbait and caught a couple of fish, and I remember we got around there, and we was on the bank coming out of that little pocket there, and I turned around and I fired that buzzbait back behind the boat up against the bank, and I was bringing that thing out of there, and I got probably 10 feet off the bank, and boom! I mean, looked like a wash tub come up and hail that buzzbait, and fight was on. I get it in, and it was about a 4-pounder. Well, I was on cloud 9, and I caught a 4-pounder in the first tournament that I'd ever fished. And anyway, we fished around there, and then we went up to the cut and fished around. It got dark, so we came back, and one of our favorite points to night fish, y'all probably know exactly where it's, that knows Beaver knows where I'm talking about. There's no slide that come down into the water, and I can't remember if that house back then had those solar panels on top of it or not, or if that came later. But later in my life, the solar panels on this house right there above where that slide come down in the water. And right there on the end of that point, it came to a point and it went back into this big cove and had some boat docks back in it. But right there on that point, there was a tree, one tree out there on the end of that point in the water. And it's a pretty good sized tree. And we would fish that point with plastic worms all the time. Plastic worms or an old salt craw. But that night I was throwing I think it was a grape. I think it was a grape plastic worm that night, curly tail plastic worm. Anyway, I was fishing that, and we caught fish on that point like we always did, and fished there, and then we fished part of that end of Eden's Bluff, and then we went down and fished Nelson's Holler, and then by the time we got done with all that, it's time to go in. So anyway, we go in, get down to weigh in, and we weigh our fish, and I think we got second place. But by golly, that fish that I caught on that buzzbait got big bass for the tournament. My first tournament I ever fished, caught about a 4-pounder, got big bass. I was hooked on tournament fishing at that point. I couldn't wait to go back to our next tournament. So me and Tuff Taylor, we started fishing about, I don't know if we fished every one of them or not, but we fished a bunch. We fished several Friday night and Tuesday night tournaments out of Hickory Creek. But we won some money and had a good time. And anyway, that's what kicked off my tournament fishing career, was that 1 4-pound bass on that buzzbait. And I still remember exactly where we was sitting, the exact cast that I made, and that fish coming up there and sucking that thing down. Anyway, I'm gonna get off of here, and if you like my stories, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and I will see you guys out on the water.